G'day everyone. I was going through some old stuff last night and I came across something that was going to be done but never ended up being done. It was going to be a video of Stephen addressing some reoccurring questions, and to be honest, when you answer a particular question over and over, you tend to get shorter and shorter in your answers. But this video was going to answer those questions in quite some detail. This was sent to me some 4 and a bit years ago and it got lost before it was completed, but now I have found it, I might as well read it out and get it done. I'll read it out as it is and then add to it at the end. So the first question, how is Australia occupied? The Commonwealth of Australia entered into peace treaty post-World War I, leading to debt-sinking funds and the requirement to ask the people of the Commonwealth of Australia to participate in peace loans, war loans and war bonds. In 1928, the states entered into agreements with the Commonwealth of Australia and post-referendum introduced Section 105A of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act, Clause 9 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900 UK PGA. Under the Peace Treaty, in line with the Debt Sinking Fund Act 1923, the Commonwealth of Australia entered into a 50-year agreement to manage debts as a de jure administration. This was not the case, and the entity of Australia was born to replace the Commonwealth of Australia in secret meetings with Queen Elizabeth II and Gough Whitlam in 1973. The Commonwealth of Australia was put under administration in a war game of land warfare under Hague Conventions, wherein Hague Convention for War on Land saw the continuation of martial law from the previous Hague Conventions 1899, wherein the adopted convention introduced on the 26th of January 1910 at Article 55 demonstrates the administration of the Commonwealth of Australia under the rules of usufruct, putting an occupying military power in use of the fruits of the Commonwealth of Australia and imposing martial law. Who is the occupying force and which army is enforcing the occupation? The occupying force is by Hague Conventions, the United States, which by all practical terms is not the United States of America. During the civil wars in the former United States of America, the armies of the field of Abraham Lincoln put the former under martial law via General Orders 100, which are field orders to Abraham Lincoln's military forces. Lincoln stated that we should be more concerned with who was backing him. And from today we can see that all the finances of this Securities Administration goes through the United States Securities Exchange Commission with agreements of understanding with the Australian Investment Securities Commission. Researchers in the United States have now shown how this goes via the Bar Society to the banking square mile that is the sovereign and independent City of London, founded in the greater city of London. The short answer is the United States under President Trump as Commander-in-Chief and Administrator, which is now President Biden. The long answer is he is also an administrator of the United States of America, and this goes back to the Crown and Imperial Crown. Next question. Why do we need a king? Why not just become a republic like America? You have a right now, an administrating power that has taken you all on board its citizenship and has treated you as its citizens under United Nations trust agreements. This administration of your Commonwealth of Australia has taken the fruits of your lands, the fruits of your fields, the fruits of your labour and the fruits of your loins since 1907. This administration's tout to be a republic will start you in the footing of a faith foreign to the one you were born from as an Anglican Christian Commonwealth of Australia, and will put you into the realms of the Catholics, very much like what happened to Malta in 1964. All the problems you have faced in the last 50 years are because of this administration. Allowing them to turn you into a republic will stop you from being able to return back to the Commonwealth of Australia de jure and remove the administrator, and will allow them to justify the raping of your mines, forest, fisheries and agriculture for the last 100 years. You would be finally giving them the keys to what you own and saying it's not ours anymore. You need a king to execute the affairs under administration by a foreign occupying crown, its realm and its monarch. Next question. Why is united so important? Clearly this is silly to ask. United you stand and divided you fall. You have all followed the ego-driven for decades. You have watched them fail and contributed to their failures. You have wanted someone else to fix the problem you have all created together. It just goes without saying that if you have created the problem together, it's up for you to get out of it together. A king is not going to fix the problems of a people. He presents those people, gives them royal assent and defends their creations. A king anchors that garden out of the waters so that you can be free on land. You maintain that garden or it grows weeds. How important is the King James Version? The Bible is misconceived. It became the foundation of your kingdom through the process of coronation of a monarch. Its use in the coronation process is a will to an estate called the crown. This makes the Bible very important and the version of the Bible very important. The coronation of Queen Victoria, as well as the coronation process of Queen Elizabeth II, saw both monarchs take oaths of supremacy to the core foundations that are detailed in the will of the Father. This makes the king or queen who is coronated a benefactor of that will to the estate as the subjects of the crown. The people have beneficial interest in that estate as beneficiaries. The Bible forms the foundations of the kingdom and all government and parliament. The oath is then carried through the Governor-General on to all ministers and members of Parliament by way of oath to the monarch who took the oath at coronation. The version of its use is relative to the foundations put in place. The foundations of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland are in King James I and the Authorised King James Bible 1611. These foundations are carried on to the son, being the Commonwealth of Australia circumcised or cut off from the mother in 1919 after World War I. Why can't we just be united under God without a king? As we can see through the process of coronation to a king, we can see that the Bible is at the centre of that under God. I have in Realm and Commonwealth white paper detailed very specifically the premise of God being in the Holy Spirit of the Anzac. The spilling of blood across the battlefields in defence of the named Commonwealth of Australia. This self-determination allowed the Commonwealth of Australia to be an independent sovereign kingdom in international waters. To be united under God means being united in a kingdom of heaven on earth, and the whole idea of this is anchored to holy ground by a king. In short, you have come under God by coming under a king. The gods of your fathers are found in the spirit of your Anzac. Will there be a constitution for the kingdom? There is already a constitution at Clause 9 of the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act 1900. What has occurred in a change is what is defined in the preamble to the Constitution Act 1900, in that the Commonwealth of Australia comes under the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Ireland. Post-World War I, the self-determination of the Anzac made changes which are expressed in the Imperial Conferences of 1926, post-1917. Changes by Lord Balfour and the Balfour Declarations and Letters. This made the United Kingdom the motherland and the newly named Kingdom of Australia the son of that motherland. In short, the Constitution already exists and was put into a state of sine, especially at 1973 when the newly formed entity of Australia took its place as de facto administrator after the failed debt-sinking fund and the collapse under the Currency Act 1965 of the Commonwealth Bank of Australia, seeing to the demise of the gold-backed currency in 1973. Before this, at the Queen's coronation in 1953, the Imperial Crown realm was taken under Royal Powers Act 1953, giving the realms under the St. Edward's Crown line of authority over the Imperial Crown realm and its Commonwealth of Australia. What is to stop a king from being tyrannical? A king gives royal assent to the creations of men in the name of the gods of their fathers, in the good name being the Commonwealth of Australia. By constitution and by powers of sealing creations, for all powers reside with the people until times of war, when the king will step into call for defence of the very existence of the kingdom. Henry VII stopped the tyranny you saw return in 1953. That's supposed to be Henry VIII. He stopped the tyrannical Richard III. How many people are required to be considered a people? Your Anzacs self-determine their existence by defending the good name of the Commonwealth of Australia, which has gone into demise, being occupied by a foreign crown and realm, and being turned into a new entity of Australia. They fought as a population of 5 million, 60,000 dying in the name of king and country. How many does it take to have a voice, stand in their truth, and defend what their Anzac left them as an inheritance? Depends on how strong you are. This is a question no one can answer, but Moses did once say, "Let my people go." How many people do we need to crown a king? This is difficult to convey, but one could say none. The king presents himself to you with his knowledge of his stories in the will left by the fathers of the Commonwealth of Australia, being the authorised King James Bible. An ecclesiastical claim of right that puts the foundation into the kingdom that forms the foundations of the Commonwealth of Australia through the line of authority of Queen Victoria. In saying that, what is a king without a people, and how can a people act without a king? It is a symbiotic relationship, otherwise that king is no more than a father of his own family. Who decides on what is to be law? God laid down a foundation for a king, being 10 commandments, his statutes and his ceremonies. This lays out the structure of a garden wherein that God created man in his image. The Bible lays out the structure of justice and government, and the people are the creators of the Garden of Eden. As would normally happen through a parliament of the people, legislation would receive royal assent proper in the line of authority to the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act. The problem we currently face is that the line of authority has been fractured, and all creations by the Government of Australia lack line of authority to the Commonwealth of Australia Constitution Act and its Constitution at Clause 9. When can we do this? When we have enough resolve to change an allegiance through a king back to the realms of the imperial crown. To pick up a crown that has been left to die in the sands of time is not an easy task. It involves standing up to an administration force and replacing them back into the de jure to come to peace in arrangements of warfare that, if not held, could see the Commonwealth of Australia opened up to real warfare. We are starting to see weapons factories being built in the Commonwealth of Australia, and indications coming out of the United States of America. We are moving towards warfare of the real kind that involves guns, bombs, because of society's ignorance as consumers, as they take credit that is obviously not going to be paid back by them, as an administrator cons you out of the use of your own fruits. Why not put it to a vote? Referendum. A change of allegiance is a serious matter that is at the core of your line of authority that you agreed to be held over you. Voting inside a foreign power isn't going to get you back into a de jure power. You cannot put this to a vote or referendum when you are occupied and the country that you are citizens of is linked by authority to the Commonwealth. Is not linked by authority to the Commonwealth of Australia. You are not the Commonwealth of Australia. You are citizens of a United Nations state under the British Commonwealth of Nations called Australia. You have one choice: change your allegiance or suffer the burdens that come along with the United Nations trust-related citizenship that was introduced into your country in 1948 after they organised rehabilitation funds or credit lines under the International Monetary Fund Act of 1947. And that's where it ends. Like I said earlier, this was written out some 4 and a bit years ago, and a lot has happened since then that I really should talk about now. I cannot remember the exact date off the top of my head. I will have to dig it up, but around 2.5 years ago roughly, Stephen of the House Spires picked up that imperial crown figuratively when a bunch of us, wishing to be loyal and honour the gods of our fathers, named Stephen as our king, the king of the United Kingdom of Australia. We made an oath to our God, our king and country through Stephen, and now Stephen certainly does hold that crown and line of authority that gives us a link to our rightful God and kingdom by birthright, through that stone of remembrance. Stephen raised the land from the seas and holds it for us, those of us that have made an oath, that is. This was put on court record as fact in a Supreme Court case, New South Wales vs Kisconan, by the Justice. And that same Justice pointed out, we have a curial right. This basically means lawful. So it's now time for all of you that actually want to change, to make that oath and stand as a people united of this Commonwealth and Kingdom of Australia, and Stephen as our King will speak for us as a people. Currently our voice is small, but the powers that be are certainly listening. They are not responding to us directly, but they are responding because they know the people. Some people have worked it out and are changing their allegiance back to the Commonwealth and Kingdom. Now, you don't hear much from Stephen directly because whenever he hits a nerve, his videos or posts get deleted. They have recently blocked one of Stephen's videos on my channel, and that was a first. But now it's time to stand up and make that oath. Fly your red land flag and stand together as people, because as a people, we can actually do something, and time is running out. I hope these answers are useful to you all. So ask yourself, which side of the fence do you want to be on? You can't be sitting on the fence, because what's going to happen will still affect you one way or the other. So make your mind up and make it up quickly, because time is running out. You have months, not years.